The attack on male gamers continues by Sydney Watson. So to help me unpack this video, perhaps make it a little more interesting and a little more balanced or fair, I wanted to bring in some female perspective also to this conversation. So I figured who better to bring in than my own wife, right? Because she's been married to someone who actively plays a lot of video games and Yu-Gi-Oh! And has been into all this stuff for many, many years. So I wonder how she feels about these things. I thought that would be a little more interesting than just listening to me rant by myself here about my opinions on this subject. It'd be interesting to get, a little bit of balance here, get in another perspective as well. And again, who better than my own wife? So
just, I don't know, in my opinion, I think that, there's something a little bit childlike about it, a grown man to be playing games, and it is a huge turn off for me, and I'm bloody glad my man doesn't play video games.
So here, why don't we ask my wife really quick, a fellow woman of my generation, I'm in my late 20s, my wife is in her mid 20s. Let's get her take on it and how she feels. So there's going to be several different points here that get made about men and video games in general. You know that I play a lot of video games ever since you met me. That's been the case that I do that. When you met me, do you feel like that made me less attractive? Like, was that a red flag in your opinion?
It's not a red flag. When I met you, I knew that you liked video games, and I was never interested. I think it's just something that you need to see as a hobby. Of course, there's a lot of people that plays video games all day and don't do other things with their life. That's other thing that's unhealthy for you to sit down the whole day in front of computer, but it's not because I don't want you to play.
So it's not so much that if that is one of my hobbies or one of the things that I like to do, that's not like an instant turn off or red flag, or you wouldn't not date someone because of that. You're just saying don't be an unproductive loser, don't just do that and it's okay type of thing.
Yeah, because everything in your life is a balance, you're not, I like to read books and watch TV shows. I'm not going to do that the whole day. I need to go to work. I have things in the house that I need to do. So if you're doing your things in the house and you're a grown-up man, so you have things to do. If you're doing that in your free time, you're choosing to play video games, why I would care?
You feel like it's a little bit... Do you think it's fair of me to say that it's a little bit neurotic, kind of like crazy, like?
Oh yeah, of course, and
almost weirdly controlling to not want your man to do what he likes every now and again.
Oh yes, and for me, I feel that I see the side where some of these women are saying that they dated someone and the person didn't spend time with her and things like that, but that's more
or that's all that they did type of
thing.
Thing.
But that's a minority. I feel it's not all the men,
So that's an extreme case, right?
Yes.
The guy that just does that and that's the only thing he does all day, doesn't work. That's a minority of men.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, in my opinion, I think that, there's something a little bit childlike about it, a grown man to be playing games, and it is a huge...
One thing that she said, it's a turn off for her because of a grown-up man playing games. The way that she said, games as a thing that a child...
Yeah.
would do, I don't know. I think everything is perspective. I want you to play video games with our children in the future. So
why is that?
Because
a good bonding thing?
Yes, I want you to bond with your kids, if that's something that you like and you can transfer to them, you can teach them how to like. Mm-hmm. Why not?
It's an experience that we can share.
Exactly. The same way that I had my experience when my dad was playing video games.
Yeah, I think some of the only good memories I have with my dad as a kid is us playing video games together.
I have other memories too, but I remember being awake until 3 a.m. just playing video games with my dad.
You even feel like that's something that you can do with your kids and it's a chance to bond.
Yes. I would say me as a woman, everything that you do, I think one day you're going to do that with your kids.
What about as far as within your relationship, as far as do you think that that's unattractive in a guy? Do you think that that's an unattractive thing that I like to play video games? Was that when you met me, was that oh no, he plays video games, that's a no-no?
I think that's a hobby, hobbies are not to be unattractive or not. I feel
it kind of almost doesn't matter.
Yes,
right?
It doesn't matter. Me as a woman, what I'm looking in a man is being a provider. So when you do those things, that's attractive to me. When you're being a provider, when you take care of me, not other things that are none of my business,
I feel very similarly, right? And I'll get into that in a minute. But you're basically saying, as long as you're being the provider, you're doing your job as a man, you don't care how I blow off steam, right?
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
same way I don't care, like, I don't care what you do with your free time type of thing, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. It's just good to hear that, I feel like it's good to get a female perspective on that too. Otherwise, it's just like a guy talking to a bunch of other guys a lot of times. So I think it's nice to get both sides of the story and the two different perspectives,
Yes, and for all the women that are listening to this, just
There are none. This is all dude. I'm kidding. No, there's some.
but even, just try to engage with the hobbies. I never in my life thought that I would be playing video games or League of Legends, like
And
I used
Yu-Gi-Oh?
yeah, like I used to make fun of my friends that were doing that, like my male friends. And now like I'm doing that and I'm like, okay,
Watching Naruto, watching anime.
yes, like so many people told me like go watch Naruto and I never watched, and it took me like 5 years to watch. Of course, we were watching other animes, but
Right.
like it took me a long.
But you some of my dorky hobbies, you kind of ended up being into them as well. type of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. And nowadays I have more hobbies, and some of my hobbies I lost when I moved. I feel that like
When you moved from Brazil, me and my wife were originally from Brazil. I don't know if I said that before, but yeah.
you probably figured out with my accent. But yeah, like when I moved to another country, I lost like all my hobbies. I came here with a luggage and clothes. There was nothing personal that I brought here to United States. So, and I was in another country with another language. I was learning English, so I couldn't even like read a book. That was something, it was my hobby in Brazil.
Yeah, so you
And then-
lost a lot of those things.
Exactly. But at the same time, I feel that I found other hobbies here too with you. And it was really nice to be able to connect with you.
Like share
in
those
this way.
interests, some of them.
Yes, like nowadays we go to GameStop together,
We watched the whole Duel Monsters. We watched the whole Duel Monsters anime together. The whole first season of Yu-Gi-Oh and all that. I don't think you ever thought that that's something you'd probably
right.
be doing.
And I feel like for a woman, that's a really good like exchange that you can do, because if
In
you're
what
doing
way? Like,
if you're doing things with your husband, things that he likes,
Oh, I
he
see what you're
might try to do things that you like with you.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
give and take, right?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
do you do some of the things that I like. I'll do some of the things that you like.
Yeah,
type of
and
thing,
if your boyfriend or husband is not doing things that you like, you can say like, dude, like I do everything with you. I spend time doing things that you like, and I enjoy because I'm with you, and I'm
So do some of
truly
that for me, too.
enjoying. Exactly. So go to Target with me, So I feel like
Go to
there's
Sephora.
yeah.
Take me to Sephora and don't
There's
complain.
there's like so many women that complain. They're like, oh, my husband doesn't do this or that with me. Like great, because that's not like women and men are very different. They have different different hobbies. So that's great that your husband doesn't want to spend his whole day at Target. I wouldn't have.
That'll probably be concerning. Maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't like.
Maybe that's judgmental, but
No, yeah, like
maybe I'm generalizing. For the guys out there that do enjoy Target, I do not mean to offend you, but
so I just feel like it's something that you can use as, you can show to the person that you're being there for the person. And if this person is not giving this back to you, then it's a problem.
then that's an imbalance, right?
Exactly.
It's what you're saying. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're even going a step further than what we're talking here on the video, which I think is like that's a good point, right? It's not even that you have a problem with the hobbies that the other person has. You would encourage almost the partner to indulge in some of those hobbies with them to share that connection, spend more time together. In exchange, I might do something with you that I normally wouldn't, because you tend to do that for me, right? And it maybe helps us bring us more together, type of thing.
Yes, and like for us, for example, you hate painting, and one day I wanted to paint rocks, and you painted rocks with me.
That's right.
And it was fun, for both of us. I don't like painting by myself.
I mean, seriously, if you didn't ever do anything, like if you were a pest in my life, well, first of all, we wouldn't be together. But if you were like, you just never want to do things that I enjoy doing. You're constantly harassing me about my hobbies and all that. Let's say that's the case. And then there's something that you really enjoy that you want me to do with you. I'm probably less likely to do it, right? Because you never do the things that I like.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you don't mind that I'm doing the. I mean, I think it's pretty silly at this point to say that, I think most guys play video games. Like, especially, I mean,
Yes.
we're both millennials. You're in your mid 20s, I'm in my late 20s. But when I was growing up, it wasn't like at that point in that generation already, it wasn't a dorky thing or a weird thing for guys to play video games. It's actually, you were in the minority if you didn't. Pretty much every guy I know grew up playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Oh yeah.
That was like my entire class. If you didn't play, it's like, what's wrong with you?
And not even that, like I remember just watching my friends playing, and I was with my friends. I had a lot of male friends.
It's because a lot of, like, let's be real, and I'm not trying to be mean to this woman or anything like that, but just taking a look at her, she's probably older than both of us, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't know how old she is, but is it, I mean, maybe, I don't want to be offensive or anything, but is it fair to say she looks like she's 40?
But she doesn't know how man works, because if her husband is not playing video game, he's gonna find something else to do with his life. He's not gonna
Or some other
stick
woman
next to you.
Or some other woman to play with.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not playing video game, you're gonna cut the grass. You're gonna take care of the backyard. You see our neighbors every time they're like in the backyard,
That's all they
like
do.
doing gardening. It's okay, it's his hobby. But like they think that okay, the man is not gonna play video games anymore, and he's gonna spend all this time that he's not playing video game, he's gonna spend with me.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're
You
saying
know?
that if they cut off the video games, he's going to have more time to me, but the reality is he's just going to find another hobby.
Oh yeah.
Right, exactly. But what I was saying, and I'll go back to this, what I'm saying too, and I'm not trying to be mean, like, but the thing I think as well, just looking at this woman, and again, I'm not trying to be mean, I don't know how old she is, but would you say it's fair to say that she's probably older than both of us? Is it just me, or does she look like she's 40?
I don't think so. She looks
She
like
looks
she's
younger?
30 something.
Does she? I don't know. Well, to me, she
I'm
just,
terrible.
maybe she is.
Pretty.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being mean, but she just looks like she's from one generation before ours. Like, she doesn't look like she's a millennial. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think that in her generation, when she was growing up, probably it was very dorky to play video games. Like, the video games hadn't gone through this zeitgeist yet where every single person out there basically plays video games. Every guy plays video games, right? So that's at least for me, I don't know if you agree. If she is indeed older, I would think that she might have this idea still, because when she was growing up, that's kind of what it used to be.
But it's interesting because I didn't grow up playing that much, as I'm sure that's what you did your whole childhood, play
Basically,
video game.
my whole life, yes.
Yeah, like
That and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a crypt.
yes, and in Brazil I grew up like in a complex apartment, so I had a lot of male friends. So what I would do is just like watch video games, like watch their playing video games. And I think maybe that's why I like
but that's what-
watching you too.
But that's what I kind of mean too. It was pretty
Yeah.
normal for our generation to be
I think so.
Like, it wasn't just basement dwellers doing that. It was
But-
already pretty acceptable, right, at that point.
Yeah, but I do see like people at our age complaining about that too. Like younger women.
Oh,
I
see what
think
you're
they're
saying.
like
So it's not just generational, you're saying. It's not just because she's older that she feels this way.
maybe she feels this way like because of that, because of her generation, and then the younger women that are unhappy, with things the way they are, they're like bringing that up.
Bringing the baggage from that.
Yes.
Why do you think that is? And this is, I don't know the answer to this, but I do
feel-
feel that as well, because we're going to go later on the video here as well. And some of the TikToks and videos that they show are actually pretty young women, younger than me and you, complaining that, it's an ick. It's something that they don't like that their boyfriends do, that they play video games in general.
When I started looking for videos on this issue, I actually came across this bizarre trend on TikTok where women say that their men being happy while playing games gives them the ick.
Like, I wonder, why is that then? If it's not an age thing, why is that what is going on there?
I think you're not happy with yourself, with the things that you're doing with your time, and then you want to control someone else's time,
Maybe some of that, probably a lot of that.
One thing that for me, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or it's just me, but I don't know how men feel, but I'm not feeling great every day. Like most of like three weeks in the month, I'm feeling like terrible. One week I have cramps, the other week I'm like I want to kill everyone in front of me.
Usually me.
Yes, exactly, because you're the only one in front of me. But I just feel like sometimes I'm not in the mood to do anything, not even like cleaning the house and doing the things that I need to do. And then I'm just gonna scroll down Instagram or just like clean the house mad, you know?
So let me see if I'm gonna try to understand. So are you maybe saying that because other women might possibly feel that way too, that they're almost like projecting, they don't like seeing that their man is having hobbies, or is it something that pisses them off that their man is doing that and they're not, like, what do you mean?
I think they're not doing anything. They're just bored, and then
They're annoying their husband because they're bored.
yes. Like if they were doing something else, they wouldn't be annoying, you know, their husbands.
I didn't say it. You
Like
said
holding a baby, you know, taking care of your children.
being at work, doing whatever. Or,
Yeah.
So you think that a lot of women, possibly, you're not, obviously, I'm not representative of all men and you're not representative of all women, but so you think possibly a lot of times women are bored and they almost want their partner to entertain them
Yes, like do something fun with me, you know?
because I'm bored and I don't have anything I feel like doing type of thing?
Yes, because I have like two options. I have the option of doing chores, which sometimes I don't want to do them, you know, the same way that you don't. And I have the option of doing something fun. I'm feeling bad because I have chores to do. So I'm gonna try to make you do something with me. This way I don't feel bad about myself because I'm not doing the things that I am supposed to do. I do give time to my hobbies, but most of the time I'm like,
I mean, you're zonked from work, right?
yes.
Like, especially your hobbies, like you're learning how to play the guitar now, which I've actually mentioned on my channel has been an interesting thing here for me to try to record videos.
But you know, like you were not, I wouldn't say mad, but you were talking to me like, I cannot listen to you play anymore. And then I was like, okay, we need to find a solution because the
there you
same
go.
way.
That's a good example, right?
Yeah.
You know that I'm pretty sensitive to noise, and like I love you, but when somebody's learning an instrument, it can be pretty annoying, right? Because you don't know how to play just yet. It's loud. You're getting the strings right, but the instant reaction isn't, please stop doing this forever, right? We tried to accommodate it and find a solution to carve out a specific room just for that, right? I mean,
Yes, and that's the point where if you're having a problem, you know, you just need to say, okay, that's something that is happening. How can we do to solve this problem? I feel like I work with kids and that's what I teach them all
you
the
teach
time.
this to kids, right? So why can't adults?
Maybe because our parents didn't teach us about that, you know? Maybe we
Maybe.
didn't grow up being emotional, stable, and, you know, learning how to cope with things in our life.
You're saying that that might be the case for some people, type of thing.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
And I feel like in the end, we found a really good resolution. You know, like you need to do your videos for YouTube. You need
And my peace in general.
Yeah, like just in general. And I don't think it's fair with you to listen all day. But it's not fair for me to not do a hobby that I like. You know, I work the same as you, so I pay for the house. Even if I wasn't paying, it's just like it's our house, so you're free to do whatever you want, and I'm free to do whatever I want.
Right, and I think that's a point thing too. It's not the fact that you're doing something that I inherently don't like, right? It's the fact that it's like if my hobbies were somehow interfering in your life, like if I was playing video games and screaming and just making your life a living hell, that would be directly interfering with your life. So that makes sense to have a problem with that at that
Yes.
point, or at least try to find a resolution. Like if you're blasting games, put headphones on, type of thing, right? So I think that that's even like different, right? You had something that was, you know, impacting some aspect of my life, and we find a resolution, type of thing. But the thing is that what I'm saying is it's not inherently that I don't like the fact that you play the guitar. Like your hobby inherently, I have a problem with it. It's just the noise. Versus some of the things they're saying here is they're saying a guy playing video games or doing this is just a straight up ick. It's just a problem inherently without any real reason. You know what I mean?
And I understand, you know, I feel that a lot of people, they don't have a balance in their life. But I do understand where these women are coming from. But it's not because you have a problem that you're going to, you know, just...
You feel like they're generalizing that on every single man because maybe they had one guy that did nothing but that and now type of thing?
Yes, exactly. Have your boundaries and your ideals. And if that's a boundary, you need to talk to the person, but you need to remember that this person has a life too. So I feel that like all these women, they don't have boundaries because who are they to tell a man what to do? Like
Right.
with their free time, you know? I think that's
The
just
other way
like...
around, who am I to tell you what you do if you're free time, right? We're
Exactly.
both independent people with our own passions and hobbies, and right, as long as we're not making each other's life hell with our hobbies.
Yes. So I feel like games, they teach you so many things. Like, for example, for people in Brazil, most of the men, they know how to speak English.
Oh yeah, because of video games.
Because of video games. Yeah, like my brother, he's 13, 14 now, and he knows how to speak English. He never went to class or anything. He didn't learn
just
in
picked
school.
it up from playing video games.
Yes, and just like, you can learn so much. You can learn how to not give up about things because games, they're hard.
Playing Dark Souls, playing
Right.
Elden Ring.
And like you see, I cannot play these games because I feel like after 2 times that I die, I feel like I don't want to play anymore.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like that for everything. I'm very like short temper.
So you feel like that almost helps you acquire a skill. Like maybe that's a skill that video games helped me acquire type of thing? No?
Yes, and I feel like you're like that. You don't give up. Even when things are not going the way that you want, you don't give up because you know that in the end you're going to be able to do it. And I feel that that's something you learn like playing games in general, like video games or just, sports and games. So when they say like you're not doing something, you're not learning something, I feel that you don't have the knowledge to talk about games.
Yeah, like it's funny because later in the video or even before she says, "Tell me you don't play video games without telling me you don't play video games."
Yes.
So she basically says what you say. It sounds like this person just doesn't play, so she doesn't get it, type of thing.
Yes, and you can learn so much with video games, even like silly. I'm not gonna say silly because it's my favorite game, Animal Crossing.
She mentions the game later on. I like
Yeah.
Animal Crossing. I think it's cute.
Yes, it's a relaxing game.
It serves its purpose, right? You had a long day of, and that's a lot of video games, right? Not everybody wants to get home after like a 10-hour shift and play Dark Souls, right?
Yes.
But a lot of people, right, they're coming home and they just want to relax. So they play Animal Crossing, they play Stardew Valley.
Doubling down even further, Wheeler also wrote that video games are sedentary, consumptive, fantasy steeped in immorality that have serious negative real-world side effects on the men who play them. This tweet was very long, so I'm just going to summarize the generality of it, which was that video games are a net negative on society based on the fact that they reportedly lead to aggressive behavior, desensitization to violence, anxiety, mood disorders, and so on and so forth.
Do you feel like, I play video games a lot, right? And I have my entire life. Do you feel like you didn't know me before I played video games because that never happened? I grew up playing them, right? I was straight out of the womb playing video games, basically. But do you feel like I have violent tendencies because of video games? Like, do you see me change when I play games? Do you see me morph from being somebody that was normally your husband into a psychopath because I'm playing Stardew Valley or something?
No, and I feel that it's the opposite. I feel that I'm the violent person that didn't play video games, But jokes apart, I don't think that's something that, I don't think that's something that affects kids or, you're going to grow up and be weird. I feel that if you don't have a hobby, if you don't know how to enjoy your time and relax and unwind,
that'll make you weird.
Yes.
Isn't it almost like weird if you, like, for kids, I would think that if my kid is not interested in anything type of thing, that would be problematic.
Oh, yeah. For me, sometimes I don't know how to deal with my emotions. And I feel that if I had a hobby that I know, like, oh, I'm going to start playing and I'm going to relax and I'm going to forget about things, that would be better.
Right. So you feel like if you had that hobby, if you had picked it up from a young age, it could have actually taught you, it could be an outlet for you for some anxiety or from some stress that you're having type of thing.
Yes.
It could be like a good coping mechanism versus drinking or whatever. Not that you drink or anything like that, but a lot of people resort to that, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, I guess, what would you prefer? Would you prefer, because I used to drink, and you know this, and I used to smoke. Do you prefer that I am just getting drunk the whole time and smoking a ton and going out? A lot of times, after work, I would go out to bars with my friends, and I stopped doing all that when I quit drinking, right? Do you prefer that version of me or the version that plays video games instead? Which I always did, but you know what I mean? Would you prefer a husband that's out doing God knows what at a bar or just playing video games?
Yes, and that's what I feel like when you're playing video games. I feel, okay, my husband is not out of the house doing anything that I don't know. He's just here spending time, like, in the house. Why is that a problem,
Like enjoying yourself versus doing something dangerous.
And even when you were, like, drinking and smoking, I never came to you saying, like, oh, you need to stop drinking. I was worried about your health.
Yeah, it's clearly not healthy, right? It's,
Yes, and you were having like problems because of that. So I was like, okay, you need to stop.
I would even say that to quit those things, video games is actually one of those things that helped me deal with that, right?
Because you could put your mind.
You put your mind
that.
to something else. So you're not thinking about drinking, you're not thinking about smoking, right? So I mean, I don't think I would have been able to quit any of those things without video games.
Yes, and I feel that behaviors, they're like that. You know, if you want to change something in your life,
You also have to replace it. Right?
Yes, and that's what I, teach the kids and the parents. Like, if your children has a behavior that you don't want, you're just not gonna say no. You need to replace this behavior with another good behavior. So for you, the drinking and the smoking was making you feel sick and not helping you. Then you replace these two behaviors with the gaming, and you used to do that gaming. So I feel that you just stopped doing, like the drinking and the smoking, and
Yeah,
you
it's
just
not like I
kept the
started
gaming.
playing. It's not like I started playing video games after I quit,
Right.
but it's more like
But you were doing together, you're like playing and smoking and drinking, and now you just play.
Yeah, I think I probably, if it wasn't for video games, I think that it's not that I wouldn't know what to do with my time, but they certainly are captivating enough for me that I'm not thinking about constantly drinking or smoking, right? So
Yes.
it's been 3 years or 4 by now. I think it's been 4 years since I've ever had anything to drink or a smoke in general. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if it wasn't for video games.
And for me, I feel like I don't have the gaming, like hobby, not that strong. Like sometimes I play some games, sometimes I play with you. I like playing more with you than playing by myself. But like I have other hobbies that I feel like the same, the same as you feel as gaming.
Like
I like to take care of my animals. I like to spend time with my animals. These are like my hobbies.
That channels channels you out of doing other things that maybe are not good, type of thing.
Yeah, like if I'm feeling sad or down, I know that I have my animals to take care, to spend time with them, and then I feel happy again. So, it was always animals for me. I had cats, I had turtles.
And now you're picking up the guitar and things like that too. Other things that you're enjoying. That's what I think. I think that a common argument that a lot of people have, women and men, will say like, man, I would rather my husband, instead of getting drunk and partying and doing all this stuff, and I would say the same thing for other hobbies that you have, I would rather you do those things than be out doing God knows what, especially if you're like a father or something, right? Instead of being out God knows what time at a bar, you're playing games with your kids or something like that.
Yes, and just like when they say that it's something unhealthy because it's like sedentary
or destructive.
Yeah, or destructive. I don't see that. I see that, of course, if you're going to play for 6 hours, you're going to be sitting for 6 hours. You need to remember that. But that doesn't mean that you can stop playing after 6 hours and you can go to the gym, do 40 minutes of exercise, and
right.
You're not sedentary anymore.
The one thing doesn't negate the other.
Yeah.
Right? Well, because people like to act like, oh, if you play video games, you're sedentary. You don't work out. You don't have a job. Like some people see it that way.
About a week later, another video popped up where a woman called Bex from the radio show 102 Philly was similarly articulating why she doesn't like men playing video games. She said that it was lazy and generally unproductive.
But the whole gaming thing...
What's the problem? Jacqueline has this big problem too, because
it's just lazy. It feels like unless you're getting paid, and there's a line, right? Like it's cool if you want to do it every so often, but to me, I'm like, go educate, like go do something productive.
But what is the problem? Like, Jacqueline has a big problem with it too. Whenever she hears the PlayStation start up, like I gotta hear the huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But if I were to just have TV on, you'd be on TikTok as it is, not paying attention. So why does it bother you?
Because it's not the distraction of me being on TikTok and us watching TV. It's what you could be doing with that time.
There it is, and that's it. I knew it. I knew it. You women want to task us bad that you're so pissed that we're taking time from doing something. Wait a minute, you're enjoying things? You have time to do this video game?
Here's the thing.
Here's all the things you could be doing.
Here's the thing, you're enjoying it, but you could also be planning something nice for us.
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts on this woman, but let me hear your thoughts. What do you think about what she said?
Well, her voice is horrible.
She sounds like a mouse. She sounds like she swallowed this. It just sounds like she swallowed
a helium balloon.
She sounds like she swallowed a squeaky toy.
Yes.
But anyway, I digress.
I couldn't,
actually listen to what she's saying.
Yes. And I think my voice is annoying, but oh my God.
Nah, not like that.
I feel that what the guy said is like really true, about the tasking. I need sometimes to hold myself. I'm like not trying to annoy you, because women we're like that. Our brain is wired like that, I feel.
Okay. Well, in what sense? That you're more task oriented or orderly or?
More like task,
Okay.
like there's tasks that you need to do it.
So
And you're
get
not
on
gonna,
it.
yeah, and you're not gonna forget. You're not gonna be able to do other things if you don't finish this. At least
Right.
I'm like that.
Which is kind of true. I probably
Yeah.
will forget.
Yes.
I mean, out of 10 things you ask me to do, maybe one will get done, kind of, maybe.
Yeah. So, but I just feel like it's normal. I think we want to be in control of
Okay.
of some things, especially like for me in the house. I want to be in control of things in the house. So if I need help with something, I'm gonna be asking to you to help me. So I think that's true. Like sometimes I need to say to myself, don't annoy your husband. It's not because you're bored or you're not feeling well, you're like overwhelmed with something. As I said, like I feel like us as a woman, we're not good the whole day, like we go through a period. Like women, we have a cycle, a monthly
Right.
cycle. Men is just like a 24 hours cycle. So for you, you're feeling great the whole day. Maybe 1 or 2 hours during the day, you're not gonna feel like yourself. But for a woman, we're not like that.
It can be a period of like 2 weeks type of thing.
Yes. So I don't know. Like I feel that sometimes I'm not good. I'm not mentally. I'm not.
So you're saying you're trying not to project that on your partner type of
Yes.
thing. So you have to hold yourself.
And then I need to remember. Okay, I have hobbies. When I go do my hobbies, he's not complaining that the house is a mess or something like that. So why I'm gonna complain about that?
And I think on the same token, sometimes like I have to recognize too that you're not just trying to annoy me or piss me off. It's just that there's things that need to get done, right? I mean,
And if I don't say to you, you're not gonna do it.
I'm definitely not gonna do them, right? So I see what you're saying. It's a balance. But what do you think as far as she's saying like, oh, you need to go educate. You could be doing anything else. I feel like that's so pretentious. Like, does she have like 3 doctorate degrees or something like that? Like,
Right? Who is she?
yeah, who is this person to be like, oh, go, you should in your free time, you should be educating yourself. You should be making more money. Well, what are you doing? I don't know her life. I don't know what she's doing, but she better be a doctor if she's saying this.
Right? Or she better be a really good wife and mom, or
Do a million things at once. I don't know.
Yes,
It just, am I like, maybe this is me, like, maybe this is just my impression, but I feel like she comes off as so pretentious.
I feel that most of the women nowadays are like that.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. I feel that I don't know if it was like our mom saying, you deserve better. See your dad. You
Like a
deserve.
generational thing, like something that was passed down.
I don't know where this comes from, but I feel like women, they're so entitled nowadays, and that's just something that I don't know.
And
That gives me the ick when I hear a
Entitled
woman. Yeah, like
Oh.
when I hear a woman saying these things like, oh, because my man, he needs to do this, he needs to be more productive. I'm like, what are you doing in your marriage? Are you doing in your house? Are you like on top of everything to say that to someone else? Are you perfect? Are you a perfect mother? Are you a perfect wife? So why are you saying something to your man? Go figure your things. And that's what I feel like most of the women that are saying things like that, they didn't figure out their life yet. They don't know what is wrong and right,
Right. Okay. Is that part of that culture that, every woman, every man now has to be 6'5", blue eyes, work in finance? That's the
Well,
vibe?
You're kind of like that, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like, does it seem that there is this expectation that the other gender be absolutely flawless and perfect, and you're saying, and this is not me saying this,
And
I'm
you're
just
like-
asking that maybe you're not that, but you expect it from other
Yes,
people?
exactly. Like you're nothing, you're no one, and then you expect like a prince, to come to your life. I'm like, oh, wake up. We're not special.
So you're saying like it seems like some women now act like they're floating above the clouds, and men are kind of beneath and need to like almost catch up to their greatness type of thing.
Yes, yeah.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that maybe... So here's my take on it, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it's just a parenting thing. My impression is that maybe that comes from online dating and things like Tinder, where the truth is that it's really easy for a woman to find a date, right? I'm sure that, you can speak for yourself. Have you ever had a hard time finding a date?
No.
Would you say that every single one of your guy friends your entire life would have been very happy to just have been with you if you wanted?
Yes.
Right. So do you think that maybe that's what creates that? It's because women have more options because men are willing to now settle for less? Or is that maybe that a lot of men are willing to settle for things that maybe they don't even like or behaviors that they don't like because there's men out there like that? It has created this maybe generation of women that, expect absolute greatness from every man, but not themselves.
Yes, and I feel like what you said is true. Like I never had someone, like everyone that I wanted to date, I did.
Right. That was not the case for me.
No, yeah. And, like I can think about all my friends, like, I can think about them and they were my friends because I wanted them to be my friends.
Right.
Because if I wanted something else, they would be something else.
Right.
So what you said is like totally true. Maybe that's something,
Right, because I mean, even if you go on a dating app, if you go on Tinder, you're gonna get, swiped at positive. I don't know I haven't used Tinder ever in my life, to be honest, but I know that you swipe one way and you match. I'm pretty sure that if a woman gets on Tinder, she's gonna get way more matches than a guy, right? Would you, in your experience?
And you can still like filter, like all these guys that you liked and they liked you back, you can like filter and choose with who you want to talk.
Right, but and do you feel like, just like going over the same point, but is it maybe is this entitlement kind of coming from the fact that you can choose from so many, but guys don't get to choose in that way?
Yes, and just the fact where, like now women, they have their voice and their voice is like louder than the man's voice nowadays, it's like...
Okay. So do you feel
like if you're a man, you shut up, like shut up right now. Just kidding.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying though, but exactly. Like, so if you're a guy, you have no turn to speak. When a woman is speaking, it's sacred. Mm-hmm. Like, do not interrupt.
So I just feel like, we women, we are able to create life. We're able to bear. But that doesn't mean that we are that special in a way that we can...
Or more special.
Yeah, like, it doesn't mean that we're special in a way that we can just say, like, you don't have a voice, you shut up,
And you feel like that's happening?
Oh, yeah. But I feel it's just like the speech, like, we're gravitating over the men's...
The clouds type of thing.
Over the
You're
heads.
floating above the clouds and the men are beneath you, so shut up, you peasant type of thing?
Yes, because, we create life.
Why does it seem like women are being taught that, they're more important, their voice matters more, that, if they don't like video games, that matters? Because in my view, and I'm going to be just completely candid with you, and we've had this conversation before, I love you, I wouldn't change you for anything in this world, but if you don't like my hobbies, I don't care. Like, you can leave. Like, I'm not going to change who I am or stop liking what I like or be a different person just to accommodate you. You either love me for who I am or you don't, and that's fine.
Yes, and I feel like that too, I feel that I would think the same. I think that's why we get along so well, because
like if you had a hobby and I didn't like it, you would walk out too, type of thing.
Yes, and that's what I did when you said that you didn't want to listen to me playing guitar, and I said, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop. Let's find a solution.
Right.
And that's where, like, we're grown-ups and we could find a solution, you know? But it's just something that I would never do that to you, and I believe that you wouldn't do that to me either.
Right. Like, would you change? Like, it's not in the sense of, like, you can't learn to like new things. You can't like new hobbies because your partner likes some of these things. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is in the sense that, like, let's say you were, I don't know, you are really into playing the violin, okay? And I hate people that play the violin. Would you stop playing the violin because I don't like people that play the violin, or would you just go find someone else?
I would just find someone else. Of course, if
exactly.
I understand where, like, for example, violin, it's very loud. It takes...
That's an annoying instrument. I know.
It's so pretty. One day I'm going to play
it. I know. I'm starting to come off like I hate instruments. I don't.
You hate noise.
I don't like noise, yes.
And I understand that. Like, I know that that's something that really gets in your nerves, and something that you cannot control. So why I would do something to that it
like
makes...
inflict pain or something.
Exactly. If you say to me, like, I'm so sorry, I cannot listen to you play violin, and we didn't have a big house, or we didn't have, like,
another room,
I would stop. But this is something that I will stop right now. Like, I know...
You won't permanently stop it, and it's not inherently because...
No, it's not like... No. I would stop playing because we're married for, like, 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I start something new that I notice that is affecting you in a way that you cannot control, and I see that that's something that you cannot control, I would stop. But then if you knew me, like we just met each other and I told you I play violin and that's what I do, like that's what I love to do, and you didn't say anything, we got married and things like that, then I would say that's on you, you know?
Right.
Because I feel that it's wrong.
You wouldn't change that just for some random person.
Yes, because I feel that's like it's wrong if I start something too, like if I change, you know, and it affects your life. I feel that you need to be able to like distinguish things like that as
I would try to accommodate. I would still
know?
try to accommodate your new hobby, though. I would, it might annoy me, but we'll find a solution.
Yeah, but I feel like imagine if you don't have a solution for this, you know, as I said, like me, I would stop. But that's like on me. I wouldn't ask for you to do the same. Like, oh, I would stop for you. Why you don't stop doing that for me? You know?
Why is that?
Because you cannot expect things, and it's not because like.
It's not just because you're willing to do something that the other person is necessarily should be type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You said everything that I wanted to say.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying it's like this expectation that the other person just bends over and, does whatever you want.
Or expectation in general. Did you notice how much like we expect from the other nowadays? It's almost like we don't see us. We don't see.
You don't look at yourself type of thing.
Yeah, we cannot. Yeah, we cannot look inside of ourselves, but we're looking at everyone. We're looking at, and I think that's something about like social media where like we can see what everyone is doing and then we're judging them all the time in our heads,
Uh-huh.
I think it's just like that thing where you're looking at the person but you're not looking at yourself, and then you're just, I don't know.
So would you say to all the guys out there that are looking for a long-lasting and beautiful relationship, that are looking for marriage or even just like a long-term relationship, if they come across a woman that says, that they don't like video games or you're not allowed to, whatever hobby you have, that you cannot have that hobby anymore if you want to be with them, do you think that those guys should drop that hobby and still pursue that individual? Do you think those guys should run away to Mexico? What do you think what's your response to that? And I'll give you my response after.
I feel like if you're a man, you need to decide what you want. If you're a woman, you need to decide what you want for your life. And that's what happens with everyone, man or woman. So if you're a man and you find someone and you want to change for this person,
that's your decision.
That's your decision. But then don't hang that on the other person's head too. Like, oh, I changed it for you. No, you change it because you wanted to stay with this person.
So you're not saying don't necessarily do it. Like, you're a grown man, you can decide that for yourself. If you want to change, but then don't hang that over the other person because they told you from the start that that's something they didn't like, type of thing.
Exactly.
Okay. Because my thought to that, and what do you think about, like, so for me, if my answer to that, I kind of agree with you in that sense. Like, I'm not telling any guy, what they should do or shouldn't do for someone else, because maybe I would change a thing or another for you, depending if it wasn't like fundamental to my existence or to my core. I would maybe be willing to change that. My personal feeling is that there's a lot of guys out there that are just very lonely and desperate, and they're just basically willing to put up with whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, they're willing to put up with women that talk down to them, that they're willing to put up with partners that make them let go of things that they enjoy. They're willing to let go a part of themselves that's important just because they're desperate and lonely.
Yeah, I think so. I think when we're social animals. So I think if you're lonely at that point, you're going to do things that, you're going to regret in the future. And I think that's where a lot of divorce is coming from, because they're willing to put that for like 2 or 3 years, and then they're like,
and then later they're like, I can't put up with this anymore.
And then we call, like, I don't know, a midlife crisis, but it's just them like realizing what they want.
And then they're blaming the woman, but they're the ones that put up with that from the beginning, really.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
The woman set her boundaries from the beginning, and the guy went along with it, and now they regret it, type of thing.
Exactly, and that's what I said about boundaries. I feel that everything is just boundaries, and you need to be sure what you want. And when you're sure what you want, you find that thing in your life, So for example, when I noticed that I was sure that I wanted to be married and I wanted to have kids, that's when I met you, and you wanted the same thing. So we're like, okay, we like the same things.
Have the same values.
Exactly. So if I was saying to you like, oh, I want kids, and you were saying to me, I don't like kids, I don't want kids at all. And then if I choose to stay with you,
that's
my problem. If I didn't see the red flags, you know, and that's what I noticed, like with a lot of friends that come to me and talk about their relationships and problems. I can see like the person wasn't able to see the red flags at the beginning.
But they were there the entire time.
Yes.
They chose to ignore it just because they were lonely or whatever.
Yeah, like they wanted a person so bad, you know.
Which I think is the case with like 90% of people I know.
Yeah, and they didn't thought about the long term, you know.
Would you say also, like, just a general question, because they're saying that, oh, guys that don't play video games, that's unattractive, like, that's a turn off. Would you say that, like, a guy that's completely unapologetic about who he is and what he likes, like, I'm not willing to change for you, this is who I am, either you like it or you don't, or buy, would you say that that is more attractive, that that's actually a manly feature? Right? You're somebody that
gives you confidence.
Right, versus being someone that, oh yes, honey, I will do whatever you want. Oh, whatever you say, yes, I will be that person. Which person would you prefer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the person that knows what he wants, you know?
Am I like incorrect to say that whatever you're into, whether it's video games, a hobby that you have, or who you are, and you being unwilling to bend and unwilling to change who you are just for the sake of any person out there, like, isn't that a male feature that you probably look for in a guy, right? Isn't that a defining feature of what being a man is, like not caring what other people think, being independent, being sure of yourself. Like, I'm not going to change because of this woman. There's 10 others of you out there that will like me just the same. I don't care. Would you say that that's attractive? Or would you say that is more attractive a guy that's willing to bend over, say, yes, honey, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. I'll be your slave. You know, I'll be whatever you want me to change. You're my goddess. I'll do whatever you want. Or a guy that's like, hey, you know, I like you, but if you don't want to be with me, if you're not into the things I'm into, like, I can find someone else. Like, what's more attractive?
The confident person, for sure.
Well, thanks for being a part of the video. I know that I don't bring you on my videos very often, and I'm probably not going to. I don't want to burden you. I don't want to burden you with this, but this was a video that I thought it would be interesting to get another perspective, the perspective from a woman, and more of that my partner. And I don't want it to just be a guy here laying the quote unquote truth and saying what I think and not get someone else's like input on it.
It's just lazy. Go educate. Like, go do something productive.
But what is the problem?